With the New York Times in one hand and the Catechism of the Catholic Church in the other, Al Kresta is ready for conversations of consequence.
We do not train to be merciful here. Mercy is for the weak.
Pope Francis has declared the year of mercy.
The message of divine mercy is the heart of the gospel.
You said it very well.
ISIS claims they have more terrorists in America.
What you talking about, Willis?
This is not a time to be afraid, though.
If God be for us, who can be against us?
Nobody! Broadcasting from the studios of Ave Maria Radio in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and taking a closer Catholic look at current events, issues, and ideas. This is Kresta in the Afternoon.
What you do is so critically important. That's a great analysis. You nailed it.
The force is strong in this one.
It's showtime.
Well, let's start the insanity.
You have proved yourself worthy. Will you join me? Who's with me? Let's go!
One 877-573-7825. Continuing with your calls, we'll go to Alabama, where Steve's listening online. It's good to have you, Steve.
Hi, Al. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Sure.
I really enjoy your show.
Thank you.
So my reactions actually, Al, are really similar to yours. I was yes and no. He could win. He could not win as well. I was surprised that he won to a certain extent. I was surprised as well that it was close, but I think what you said earlier nailed it, though. She kind of sunk her own ship when she made the deplorables comment. Because I was never happy about voting for Trump, but I'm not going to vote. I'm going to vote a Catholic conscience as best as I can form it, and I can't vote for a pro-choice Democrat. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it, and I'm going to do the best job I can with the vote I have. So that made an easy decision for me. In one perspective, a lot easier to describe me as that. Although I think she was more talking about people that were rabidly Trump supporters. Which, I mean, I'll be honest with you, this is the third election I've had to hold my nose and vote, but.
Yeah.
You know,
no, there's a lot of reasons that Mr. Trump made it difficult for many of us to vote for him. But let me go to this deplorables issue that you raise. That moment, that little moment, is a big window into the spirit that was behind Mrs. Clinton's campaign. Think about it. Think about it this way. Here she is, a former First Lady of the United States. She's supposed to be serving the entire people. She's now running to be president of all the people, right?
Yep.
And her disdain for a major portion of the electorate catches her, and she finds herself saying that 50% of Mr. Trump's supporters are deplorables. Now, there's a British comic who plays a character named Jonathan Pye, and he's a leftist, and he went crazy talking about how the left and Mrs. Clinton lost this election largely because they dismissed the opposition by calling them names. Do you have that, Joe? Can we listen to this? Let's play it.
How many times does the vote not have to go our way before we realise that our argument isn't won by hurling labels and insults? When will we learn that the key is discussion? The left is responsible for this result because the left have now decided that any other opinion, any other way of looking at the world is unacceptable. We don't debate anymore because the left won the cultural war. So if you're on the right, you're a freak. You're evil, you're racist, you're stupid, you are a basket of deplorables. How do you think people are going to vote if you talk to them like that? When has anyone ever been persuaded by being insulted or labelled? It's time to stop ignoring your opponents, or worse, trying to silence them. It's time to stop banning people from speaking in universities. It's time to stop thinking that reposting an article on your Facebook feed is political engagement. Being offended doesn't work anymore. Throwing insults doesn't work anymore. The only thing that works is bothering, doing something. And all you have to do is engage in the debate. Talk to people who think differently to you and persuade them of your argument. It's so easy, and the left have lost the art. Stop thinking that everyone who disagrees with you is evil or racist or sexist or stupid, and talk to them. Persuade them otherwise, because if you don't, I'll tell you what you get. You get President Trump.
There you have it. I think that's absolutely right. The left, they condescended to, especially the white working class or even white middle class, who oppose same-sex so-called marriage, who continue to say that abortion is a form of murder, who wanted to stand in support of law and order in spite of some of the terrible things that were done by police this year. Instead of engaging the argument, they criticized. They used name-calling. And that moment when Mrs. Clinton used the word deplorables, I think that cost her far more than she even realizes to this day. It just crystallized the whole spirit of her, well, can't even call it an argument. Name-calling is what it was. Steve, you with me?
Yes, I'm still here.
Oh, good. So, go ahead.
I think between that, and I'm going to coin a phrase, anecdotal, but between that and the Democrat, quote-unquote, war on coal, wanting to get rid of the coal industry. Obama was on the record talking about he's going to bankrupt it. I think those two things there are what, because you nailed it.
Yeah.
About Minnesota, not Minnesota, I'm sorry, Wisconsin and Michigan, because my computer science class is studying data. And Macomb County, the county you're just talking about, Trump won 53-42.
Yeah, I know that county very well. And yeah, this is one of the things that I think people are surprised by. Charles Lane over at the Washington Post thought that environmentalism worked against the Democrats this year because the 25 most coal-dependent states for electricity generation, Trump won 20 of them. In Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin are the three most coal-dependent states, and it looks like he's won all three of those. This might be one of the most important. Again, I'm idealizing the future here, but for the first time, I have seen the mainstream press acknowledge that they have ignored a minority group, and it's a huge minority group, and that is
the country.
White working class people, and they've given all their attention to immigrants, African Americans, other kinds of minorities, and they've characterized a significant portion of the American people as racist, sexist, anti-gay, Islamophobes, and by calling people those names without trying to understand people. They've come across as patronizing, they've come across as condescending, and people rose up and they said, we're not letting you get away with it anymore. We now have an advocate who doesn't care about political correctness, and we're glad to see it. So we'll see if this works, if this changes the political debate in America. I sure hope it does. Appreciate the call, Mark. Thanks. I'm Al Kresta. More coming. And good afternoon. I'm Al Kresta. Let me expand for a minute here on this resetting of political discussion. I played for you this piece from a British comic, who plays, I think, was it Joe Pye, on the refusal of the left to properly engage their opponents in debate. They'd rather hide behind words like racist, sexist, anti-gay, Islamophobe, right? And this election did bring this up to the center. It's never been as clear as it's been in this election. Part of it is because Mr. Trump is so politically incorrect himself that it kind of forced the issue to the center. But, if you want to secure the border before getting on with discussion of what to do with illegals, you're considered xenophobic. You're considered unchristian. If you want to ensure that voters identify themselves when they go to cast the ballot, you're considered racist. If you want to argue that homosexual acts are unnatural and immoral and we shouldn't support same-sex so-called marriage, then you're told that you're hate-filled. If you believe that motherhood is a calling that most women will choose over career, then you're retrograde, you're anti-feminist, and you think women should be live in the kitchen and be barefoot and pregnant. Nonsense. If you want free speech instead of safe speech, you're called insensitive and hateful. If you use the term Muslim jihadist or Islamic terrorism, you're called an Islamophobe. If you think that your premiums have been going up for health care ever since Obamacare kicked in, and you're saying to yourself, maybe it's time to make some major changes here, then you're considered non-progressive. If you didn't support if you didn't get behind the first women presidential candidate, then again, you're anti-feminist and deep down you hate women. This is the kind of grotesque misunderstanding, and this is going on college campuses now, where the hate speech codes are forbidding speakers as honored, as Ben Shapiro, who's going to have turned down. But anyways, I'll have more to say about this in the next hour. I'm Al Kresta.
This hour of Kresta in the Afternoon is co-produced by Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.